Hi, I'm Mike Elston. I'm the executive chef at Mount Carmel Grove City Hospital. I'm going to show you how to make sweet potato and black bean enchilada skillet. We're going to start out with a hot skillet with some oil, and we're going to saute some onion and some garlic in it. I'm going to show you how to properly dice an onion. I like to keep the root intact and cut through the center of that root to the top of the onion. And this is a tough onion. The skin sometimes is hard to peel, so if you go through the very first layer of that outer layer of skin, it can help you get your finger up underneath it to peel the skin off. We're going to save these pieces later on. You could put it in a compost bin, or you could use it to flavor different stocks later on. I'm going to have the flat side of the onion down, and I'm going to use the blade of the knife from heel to the tip as I go across, making 1/4-inch slits. Then I'm going to take the knife and hold it parallel to the onion. I'm going to make a couple slits going in like this. And you can see some of the onion is already starting to dice off the end. Then I'm going to make cuts like this. Saving the root end. Next, I'm going to show you how to process the garlic. Okay, with the garlic, I've already got garlic cloves that have already been peeled. You can also find them packed in jars, packed in water or oil that are already pre-diced to the size that you'd like. And for this process, we're using the fresh. And we're going to take the edge of the blade of the knife and we're going to press down onto that clove that spreads it out. Then I can take my knife and I can chop it into small pieces. Some chefs will take kosher salt and put it on top of this at this point, and then take the edge of the knife and kind of work it over it to make it even finer. But really in this recipe, just having a rough chop will be fine. Some people have garlic presses at home. That's what I really like to use, so I've brought one here to show you how this works. You actually take the garlic cloves, place them inside here, and you can do more than one at a time. I'm going to put 2 in there. And then press down, and it comes out really fine on the other end. You take the back of your knife and just brush that off. Jalapeno pepper. This is going to really flavor our recipe today. You want to take the seeds out of the inside of your pepper, and there's different ways of doing it. I personally like to take the end and cut it off, kind of like you're doing a pumpkin for Halloween, taking the stem off. The paring knife can fit right inside the jalapeno pepper, and you just start circling around in there. You can hear it removing the insides with the seeds and the membrane. That's the hottest part of the pepper, the seeds and the membrane inside. That's where the capsaicin is. So by removing those, you get rid of some of the heat. I can then cut it in half. If there's any membrane left inside, you can still remove that. You want to make sure that you wash your hands after doing this process, because those oils, the capsaicin, will remain on your skin. And if you touch, let's say, your eyes in any way, you're in for some hurt, and you don't want that. I'm going to use my chef knife to cut the jalapeno pepper into like 1/8-inch strips. Then we're going to dice it. The items that we have prepared, the onions, the jalapeno, and the garlic, are going to go into this preheated pan that I have here with some canola oil. We're just going to let these cook for about 3 minutes over medium-high heat. The onions will turn translucent and the garlic will bloom. And if we had smell-o-vision, you'd be getting a nice smell right now from this. Sweet potatoes. This is another component of our enchilada skillet. And we're going to dice this potato into our dish. But to prepare it, we're going to have to peel it. And if you've ever held a potato like this in your hand and peeled it, sometimes your hand gets wet and it slips out of your hand. And if you're doing it over a trash can, it falls into the trash can. We don't want that. So if you hold the tip of the item that you're going to peel against your cutting board and then use your vegetable peeler, you get more support. You can do the same with carrots too when you're doing this too. Now, if there's any spots on your potato that you want to remove, like this one right here, there's a little tip on a lot of your vegetable peelers that can get in there and dig that bad spot out. We're going to cut it into half-inch size diced cubes. And with any item that you're going to cut, you don't want to cut your fingers. So you want to make sure that it sits flat against your cutting board. You don't want it rolling when you're doing this part. And we're just going to get the blade started. We're going to cut it lengthwise down the middle. And you can see I don't have my fingers anywhere down on the cutting board at this point. Then I take the two flat sides that I've created and put those down. I'm going to cut this into, we'll do half size right here. And you can see it's going to be a ½ inch long in this direction. We're just going to work our way down. And you want to make sure that all the pieces are the same size so that they'll cook evenly. Notice I'm not putting my fingers on the board when I'm doing that process. Now I can. After I've finished the 3 sweet potatoes, we're going to add it to our onions and garlic and peppers. Now we're going to add the sweet potatoes that we've cut to our pan of onions, garlic, and peppers. You're going to want to let this cook for about 15 to 18 minutes until the potatoes are softened. The term al dente comes to mind, so it's just a little bit tough, just a little bite to it. And while that's cooking, we're going to get started on our tortilla strips. These are corn tortillas, and we're going to cut these into ½ inch strips. And you can do more than one at a time. I'm going to put 3 right here. And we're just going to go across like this. Let's go for more. Let's go for double on this one. Let's see if we can do it. And corn tortillas are gluten-free, so people that have celiac disease, it's wonderful to use these in place of that. Smells so good. The sweet potatoes are coming along fine. The combination of the garlic and peppers and the onion, so good. All right, that's in its final stages. We're going to add some seasoning to this and kick it up a notch. We got some chili powder, cumin, salt, and pepper. I want to mix these in. And you can see I'm using a cast iron skillet because we wanted something that's going to be able to maintain the heat in an oven, because the final step in this process is going to be done underneath the broiler. Cast iron is really good for that. If you don't have cast iron, any other metal pan like a stainless steel pan, as long as it doesn't have the rubber handles on it, that way it doesn't melt. I've got some black beans that I have strained and then rinsed so that they're dry. I'm going to add this to the mixture. Let's get that stirred in a little bit like that to even it out. And enchilada sauce. I had one that kicked out of the pan there. And if you've ever roasted vegetables before, sweet potatoes with the sugars in it, it actually brings out more flavor that way too. So letting it set in here to caramelize a little bit is good too. Now we're going to add some cheese into it. I'm going to cut the heat down to low at this point. And we're going to add our cheese. This is half of the cheese that the recipe called for. The other half is going to go on top when we put it into the broiler. Let's stir in our tortilla strips. This is a dish that, like if you're camping out, would be easy to make if you're camping out too. You just wouldn't have the broiler effect on top, but it would keep it warm for service. And in place of sweet potatoes, you could use butternut squash if you wanted to. You could even use parsnips. A lot of your root vegetables would work, even some beets with this too. It would get the caramelization process with the sugars coming out. All right. Now we're going to top this with our Mexican blend of shredded cheese. Mexican shredded cheese is Monterey Jack and cheddar. You can use other cheeses too, whatever you really like. You could use mozzarella and cheddar. You could even use some Gouda, maybe some smoked Gouda. I really like that. All right, I'm going to cut the heat off on this, and we're going to take this to our oven and put it underneath the broiler. It's going to bubble up and turn a little golden brown. Okay, we're back. Look at this. Oh, it looks wonderful underneath the broiler. You can see how the cheese has browned up and everything's caramelized. Now, you can serve it right from this container, the pan that we cooked it in. And I recommend putting a dollop. I've actually got some Greek yogurt here. You can use sour cream if you want to. Greek yogurt gives you a little bit more protein and less fat that way. And we got some cilantro to add some color. Looks so good. Eat healthy, my friends.